back, everybody, to Pure Picks for another edition of Best Bets. I am here with my man Gerard. How are you doing, bro?
Can't complain. We're on a winning streak, so hopefully we can get this going.
Yeah, definitely, man. And apologize to the viewers for me missing last week. I was out traveling, but I'm back and I'm hyped as ever. But before we talk about UFC Vegas 93, Tatsuro versus Perez, just wanted to go over the Bet MMA tips over the last 2 weeks in case you guys uh, have not seen it yet. So we had UFC 302. That was a small 1.68 unit profit. Um, my best bet for that week, if you guys remember, was Basil Hafez to win by decision, which he did. So I'm happy about that. Another pick that I had was Holland to win inside the distance, so that hit as well. So that was great. And then last week's card, we did pretty well. 4.35 unit profit. So, we've been on sort of a roll. Uh, I didn't get to do a best bet video, but I was pretty high on Ludovic Klein here. So at minus 127. So glad that hit. Gerard, do you want to talk about any of your picks for this card from last week?
Yeah, my second best underdog, Zachary Reese. He hit. I think he was the quickest fights on the card. And the one that I was kind of mad about was the Raul Rosas over 2.5. I really thought Ricky Tercios would be able to last longer, but apparently not.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we should have known as we have Raul Rosas in our intro video. Gerard, why don't you go ahead and do the chiwiwi?
Nah, he chew wee wee.
All right, so let's get right into UFC Vegas 93. I think it's going to be another banger in terms of uh, some gigalocks. Definitely see a few scattered on this card, although line has moved pretty significantly on a few of the fights. But first, why don't we start with you, Gerard? What is your best bet for this week?
So my best bet, I have a three-leg chalky parlay. I have Jeka, Asu Almabaev, and the newcomer Cuamba.
Damn. All right, so that three-leg parlay nets you at a plus 127 currently. Uh, the one of these legs, as I mentioned earlier, like the line moved incredibly, and that's Almabaev. I think he opened at like a minus 450, now minus 700, so insane line movement there. But this is an interesting three-leg parlay that you have. Why don't we go through each of the legs? Why do you have Jekka here?
So Jeka, he's facing Weston Wilson, and I really don't think Weston Wilson is a UFC caliber fighter. I don't even know if he can get a win in the UFC, honestly. And I'm mainly just fading Weston, but as for Jeka, I think he's just hard to predict and he's explosive and he's very scrappy and he only needs one shot really in this fight. And we seen Weston, he can get hit early and pretty clean too against smaller guys. And he's facing the exact prototype that's been finishing him, like a Joe Anderson Brito. Um, his last fight, that was I
Gene
forgot his
Silva.
name, but yeah, John Silva. And now Jekka, this is like basically the same type of fighter. And yeah, I think this is just a bad matchup for Weston again. I feel like they're just feeding Weston to these short, explosive fighters.
Yeah, yeah. I think Jekka wins this fight probably. But as I mentioned to you earlier, Gerard, I just think the line is a little bit wide for someone like Jekka to be a minus 335 favorite. And so what do you have to say about I know you compared Jekka to the last two guys that Weston Wilson has fought, Gene Silva and Joe Anderson Brito. Do you think Jeka is on like those two fighters level?
I wouldn't say he's on their level. I think both of those guys are probably more skilled overall as a complete MMA fighter. As for Jeka, even though he's not as skilled as those guys, I think he's still just as explosive as those guys. And he only needs one shot to finish Westin, I feel like, and get that ground and pound or even one shot knockout. So
Yep.
yeah, I think Jeka's money line should have been lower. I don't think it should have been that high, but for a parlay, I'm willing to put him in a parlay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Jeka as well. Like, just, if you just watch the tape on Weston Wilson, like this guy's really bad. He, like, even in the broadcast, they were making fun of him in the last fight, saying he was a part, or he was a software developer as well as a UFC fighter. So that's an interesting combination. Um, but yeah, let's go on to your second leg, Asu Almabaev. This leg I really, really like. So why do you like this one, Gerard?
Yeah, Asu is probably your prototypical parlay juicer. I think I heard something crazy where he hasn't lost a round yet, and yeah, I don't know if he'll lose any rounds here against Jose, who's moving down, so he's gonna be even more thin in this weight class. He's standing 6 foot, and I feel like that stature at what's the weight, 125?
Hmm.
Um, I think that's just asking to get taken down in this division. So, and Jose, he was struggling against Chad and Helliger, who's not really known for his ground game. And yeah, now he's facing a complete grappler here in Almabaev, and I think Almabaev's probably going to just steamroll through him.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to completely agree with you here. So not much counter to that pick. Let's move on to your third pick, Timmy Cuamba. Why do you like this guy?
I think UFC wants to build this guy up. We don't know yet how great of his grappling is, but he was able to grapple a little bit in the lightweight division against Oki, who's a big powerful guy. So he's moving down here against Lucas Almeida, who's primarily a stand-up striker. And we've seen Lucas get clipped in a lot of his fights, especially early. We don't know how long is that chin's going to hold up. And he's coming up against a younger, quicker fighter in Cuamba who has a fresh chin. And I think he's hungry to get his first win here in the UFC.
Yeah, this one is interesting too. I gave him a lot of props for going up against Oki in his last fight. I remember uh, I was on Oki in that fight, but Timmy Cuamba put up a pretty good fight. This fight will be interesting for sure. So I know you mentioned that you think the fight remains standing. So you don't see any kind of grappling in that fight.
Uh, Kwamba might incorporate some grappling. Like, if this goes past the first round, I think he might use that just to slow down Almeida at times. But he's going to be the quicker guy here, and he likes to switch stances throughout the fight. And Lucas Almeida was kind of getting frustrated against Andre Philly, who was switching stances throughout the fight.
Yeah,
So I like Kawamba's style in this fight.
nice. So yeah, those three legs, if you parlay them together, it's at a plus 127. Gerard, I'm sure you got in a little bit earlier, but I think
Mhm.
that parlay's pretty good, and hopefully it cashes this weekend. So let's move on to my best bet. It's Joshua Van fight week, so how could I not have him implemented into my best bet here? So the best bet that I have for this week is not going to be a money line play on Joshua Van, although I do think he will win. Um, it's going to be the over 2.5. So currently sitting at a minus 115. Now, the reason I like this bet is If you look at Tagir's record, he has never been finished. And if you look at Joshua Van's record in the UFC, he has never been finished. And before Van's last fight, it just looked like this man, he would typically tend to lose the first round and then really pick it up in the second and third rounds. And I kind of see that playing out here. Obviously, there's a risk for the submission in the first round against Joshua Van because he has been submitted before. I just want to check just to confirm when the last time he was finished. So Joshua Van, one loss in his career, and he was submitted in the second round back in 2021. So it's been a while, and I just think that Joshua Van he's a really good MMA fighter in my opinion. I think again, he starts off very slow in the first round and then he always picks it up in the second and third. And against like Tagir, although he is very dangerous, as we saw against, his fight against Cody Durden, uh, I just think Van is going to be able to get the decision victory. So I'm supporting him, man, just riding the Joshua Van train until he loses. So that's my best bet. Gerard, what do you have to say about that?
Josh Van, he does have one one win over Zalgas, who apparently beat Tagir Ulanbekov.
Hell yeah.
So that's one thing there, but MMA math doesn't always add up like that. But yeah, I like the over 2.5. The one thing that I would say is, do you think Josh Van would be able to finish Ulanbekov under?
That's Yeah, that part's the interesting part, actually. I was thinking about that. Um, if he does get a finish, I'm certain it won't be in the first round. It'll either be in the second or third. But just because, Joshua Van has an insane gas tank, what I really like is he never stops moving forward, and putting that pressure on the opponent. But again, I just go back to the zero, zero defeats from finish for Tagir. So he's never been submitted, nor has he been knocked out. So, hopefully Tagir stays alive. And the last two opponents before,
Bunez, I think.
yeah, Felipe Bunez. So
Yeah.
Borjas and Zalgas both survived. So, I think Tagir will be able to survive. So that's why I like the over 2.5. Really, Van just has to not get submitted in the first round, and then I think this will be a coming out for Joshua Van. I really like him by decision as well. So
Hmm.
there you guys have it. These are our best bets, and I think I'm on a bit of a roll, man. If you go back to my last 3 or 4 videos, they've all been hitting. So my shit's like automatic cash right now. So get in, Um, any last words, Gerard?
Chee wee wee.
Chihuahua.
I just had to say.
Um, yeah, so, if you could like, comment, subscribe on our YouTube videos and join us at purepicks.gg. Again, we're on a roll, so looking to carry that momentum forward. Thank you guys, and we will see you guys next week.